sport and health education is a very powerful tool for the development of school attendance and academic performance.
Education in Tanzania is improving, according to UNESCO, with compulsory requirements that parents send all children to school meant that 94% of children aged 7 to 13 years were enrolled in primary school in 2011, compared with only 59% in 2000. Sport, on the other hand, is perceived by Liike as a tool to extend the number of children and youth in access to quality education and so forth, to fulfilling life conditions and better opportunities to be self-reliant. Liike is a sport development Finnish non-governmental organization established in 2011. Since then, it has implemented different projects in Tanzania, and today we will know more about its activities. My name is Thierry Francis Mbabane. Koivu is today with us. Ari is the executive director of Liike, the man behind the idea.
Well, the idea of establishing something to do with sports and development, it already came back into the 90s. I was in Tanzania in 94 doing my master thesis research, and I notified also that the young boys and girls in the schools, they're very keen on sports. So if you have some balls when you go to visit the schools, so you see that, wow, there are a lot of people around you. So they were very interested, and you see that the schools are very poor. And by that time also government was also rather poor not to support the schools. So indeed, through many bends and many new ideas, I came up to evaluate Sports for All project that was funded by Finland and other Scandinavian countries previously, and notified also that once they stopped supporting sports in the schools, so the school dropouts increased and also the academic performance decreased. So we started the project on 2001 together with Finnish Sports Federation, and Liike was also established 2001. That how to tackle these kind of problems of school attendance and academic performance. And we had 60 schools in the beginning in southern Tanzania. We notified that the academic performance was going really high, and many no-show girls and boys were coming to school because that was the only place where they could play and score in the new goals or throw the ball in the new baskets. And we got the funding from the Finnish Ministry for Foreign Affairs. We applied for more schools. Soon we had 600 schools. Then we had another region with another 500 schools. We had 1,100 schools. And then the Ministry of Education in Tanzania, they wanted us to do something for the teachers' education. So in 2006 we started the project at the Teachers College in increasing the sports and health education capacity of the teachers. And we ended up having a similar project of health education and sports in 11 other teachers' colleges. Then suddenly we had 400 secondary schools and 1,600 primary schools, and we was quite a small organization. But the results were really good. I mean, people got so interested in sports, also in health education. And especially in Mtwara, we could see the results on the research is that by 1998, Mtwara only had 10% of passage in the Standard 7 examination, while in 2005 they had risen to 73%, which was the second best in the whole country in the 23 regions. And of course, that 10% was the lowest of the whole Tanzania. But indeed, there's still quite a lot to do.
Of course, there are a lot of things to do. Yet, up to now, Liike cooperated with the ministry in charge of education and also the ministry in charge of local government. But in the process, Liike had to establish a local organization, Sport Development Aid, which basically have the same aims as Liike at the grassroots level. development aid is based in Mtwara, Lindi and Singida, areas in which Liike operates.
The question is, why is it happening in the southeast of Tanzania, which is Mtwara and Lindi, and maybe later on a little bit in the central with Singida? Why those three regions so far?
Well, Mtwara mainly came because I did my master thesis over there, but the second reason was that Mtwara was the lowest on the academic performance. So we wanted to select those kind of regions which have a very poor quality environment of education. And Lindi was the second last in the academic performance. Lindi was also selected because of that. And in 2006, when we started in Singida, by that time we had teachers union. Like still we have teachers union as a cooperative partner. And Koivu was the director for the teachers union in Singida, and he was an old friend of mine, and Singida was by that time it was the fourth last in academic performance in Tanzania. So we also had teachers union, we had a very, very low quality region, and that was that was the reasons where we went to Singida. And nowadays it seems to be that working for the teachers union is good, because Koivu Majaliwa is nowadays the Prime Minister of Tanzania.
In a global way, what are the targets when it comes to women, especially in Mtwara and Lindi? I don't know if you have a program with women in Singida.
No, we have a program in Mtwara at the moment only in secondary schools.
Okay.
This Moms and Daughters project, they still do it a little bit over there in Lindi, Singida and Mtwara, but I would say that the ladies groups, they are meeting with themselves. It's kind of like we are no longer supporting them anymore financially. So they are now having their own these small banks and their own small cooperatives where they are giving loans out and such. So, but for the girls, so we have these 8 secondary schools that we have selected through research. And 2015 we made a research how many started the school in 2011. And then we checked out how many graduated in 2015. We found out that the average was 9% only of graduation. So meaning that one school, Mayanga, for example, it had 32 girls starting in 2011. 2 of them sat in examinations in 2015, but none of them graduated. It meant that 0 of the girls graduated ever in the secondary education from that school. The best was Naliandele at 25%. And each and every other school were just in between. And over here in these schools we have the girls' education program, which is more or less about girls' rights, gender behavior, children's rights, and also about early pregnancies, early marriages, healthy lifestyles, and also about these masculine sports like football, what they are doing, so giving them more rights. And with the meetings of teachers and especially the principals and the regional education officers, we have decided that now when the average was 9% of graduation, so we will rise in 4 years the graduation percentage to 50. However, the principals, they told that they want at least 90% of the girls to graduate, but we were a little bit smoothening the number, so considering 50% of the girls if would graduate after 4 years, so then we would be successful. But with the project just started in January, so we are only half a year onwards, but we are hopefully in a good pace. But this should lead also the development of the life of the mothers as well. And actually we made also a small calculation that if they educate their girls, it would take about 7 years on secondary education and then vocational education. So it would cost 7 million shillings. And if the daughter gets a job, so then she will get 500,000 shillings of salary, so she can pay 100,000 shillings back for the family every month. makes 1.2 million shillings every year, and in about 5 to 6 years' time, the so-called loan of education is paid back to the parents, and then the parents start to make a profit. So then the break-even point is after 6 years, and then the parents can start making profit from their daughters, so that the daughters, like the boys and girls, they are normally paying back to their parents on the education. So indeed, we have had very good examples also from the villages, especially the mothers who are coming out to speak about the education of their daughters and how much they invested on that, how hard they worked in order to develop the life of their daughters, and then how the daughters are paying back. And there was one woman also who was training her daughter to become a nurse. So she was working really, really hard, and then this daughter became a nurse and started working, saved money. She became also a doctor. She went to school and became a doctor. And now this lady seems to have one of the best houses in the village. She has electricity, TV, radio, and her own well over there. So it means that the daughter is paying back on the education quite well.
Can we say that it was much more about education loan for women which was lacking, or there was also some other issues that would stop them to pursue the education?
I wouldn't say it's not only about the money, it's about the culture as well. So more or less poverty runs that area. I mean, the money runs that area, and poverty is quite an important role on educating somebody. And the culture mainly says in southern Tanzania that the boys are the ones that are educated, but the girls can do as well. So indeed, if the parents would have enough money to educate one boy and one girl, or even more of them, so definitely it would be a payback. But if there would be more money, I mean, if the families would have a decent income, so certainly they would educate more their daughters as well. But now when the secondary education is free in Tanzania, even though you have to pay for the school, some tuition fees and uniform and books and other stuff, it's still quite a lot for those countryside families to invest on the education. So it's also about the habit as well and the culture, so that many of the parents, they think that the school teachers and the school quality is so poor that the kids shouldn't go to school. Everything what they need to know and not need to learn, so they can also find it out at their home, or while they're taking care of the animals, or while they're taking care of the shamba, the fields what they're cultivating. So this is also the attitude of the parents as well, not only about the poverty, but the attitude as well, that many of the parents think that school is waste of time, and that is something we have to also change.
So talking activities here and there, you had a program show on Yami FM. Would you mind to talk a little bit about the contents and what happened with the program is no longer there?
Oh yeah, this local radio in Mtwara, Tanzania, it's been a very essential loudspeaker especially for these girls' education. And even during the Moms and Daughters project, we had a small program already at Radio Yami. But nowadays we are inviting through the Empowered Girls Speak Out project in Mtwara. We are inviting the girls, their parents, and also some doctors and some nurses and the workers of sports development aid to discuss about the topics on gender behavior and sexual behavior, and also equities, different gender equities, and about the girls' rights, children's rights, importance of education. And I'm not exactly sure how many programs they have been, but this year there was one half-an-hour program every week considering this health education and girls' rights and gender equity. And obviously we are continuing it also there, but that is mainly run by the Sports Development Aid Organization and through this Empowered Girls Speak Out project. But it's quite essential because it can be heard in all the villages around 30 kilometers from Mtwara and all those secondary schools. which are involved in this Empowered Girls Speak Out project, they are coming around that area, so everybody can listen to Tukwao Radio Jamii in Mtwara.
Liike has received a huge support from different organizations and individuals. Most of the money came from the Finnish Ministry of Foreign Affairs and local business companies. Today, with recession, the support has gone down. But Ari believes that the kind of support they have now is still enough to sustain all Liike's activities.
It feels like there is a lot of work, there is a lot of people, there is a lot of support behind this idea when you look at what is being done today, which we'll talk a little bit later. So, would you mind to tell us a little bit about your stakeholders, your people who are working with Liike behind this good idea?
Indeed, in the beginning, I was a volunteer as well. So I started to give salary to myself 2004. So the stakeholders, what you're talking about, we have a lot of volunteers also from Finland who are going to Tanzania to teach sports and health education. But on the other hand, we have also very good and powerful Tanzanians who are working for Sports Development Aid Organization, who are also working for Teachers Union. And more or less, most of them are trained as teachers, but they have a good physical education background, and therefore they are entitled to also to teach and organize the seminars in Tanzania. Then we are using a lot of experts, especially on health education, that we don't know that much already. So we are using doctors and nurses in Tanzania to raise the awareness of health and also about the gender behavior. And all in all, in Tanzania we have employed, at the best time we had 13 people employed, and in Finland we had 4. But at the moment we are running with a much lower capacity, but we still enjoy a lot of volunteerism. And even right now there is one young lady teaching sports in Tanzania. And in this we have 2 projects running at the moment. We have one at the University of Dar es Salaam Department of Physical Education and Sports Sciences, which is conducted by the University of Jyväskylä. And that is the last year now. And over there we have a lot of Tanzanian teachers also operating, but anyway they are paid by the government of Tanzania as they are university lecturers. And the other project what we have is at the moment in Mtwara area, we have 9 secondary schools which have a very poor performance on academics for girls. A lot of early pregnancies, a lot of early marriages, a lot of dropouts. And the initiation of the girls in southern Tanzania is also making them kind of like idle and unaware of their rights. But I would say that also the direct stakeholders at the moment, there should be a lot of girls, like hundreds of girls. And meanwhile, we have had 1,600 primary schools, 400 secondary schools, 12 teachers' colleges. Also the Teachers Union is the one. But I hope that the number will increase, but I hope that also the government of Tanzania would understand that sport and health education is part and parcel of the system, and in primary school they have Haibana Michezo, sports and personal skills, which is quite close to that, but basically in secondary schools the sport is compulsory in very, very few schools, in about 40 governmental schools in Tanzania, which is the project we did with the Ministry of Local Government. So I would see that there would be much more stakeholders if the government would also decide that sport and health education should be a subject in secondary schools in Tanzania.
So 2017, here you are after all that time. So what are objectives, especially for this year, 2017, when you look at those projects?
Well, one of the objectives, of course, is to strengthen the idea that the girls can as well. So the girls are able to do many things. And in the secondary schools, we are trying to stabilize the education route for the girls. We are trying to make the school environment safe also. There's a lot of sexual harassment for the girls. We are trying to make a safe way to school so that the villagers, the people would understand how important it is for the children, especially girls, to have a safe environment in the school. And also considering that teachers, because even the sexual harassment is sometimes done by the teachers, unfortunately, so we are also trying to change the attitude of the teachers to understand that each and every child is important, that they shouldn't be harassed. That is the main issue. And then especially the girls groups, to establish girls sports groups that they can do every afternoon in the school, whenever they want in the afternoon. They can do sports activities and health education activities. That is one thing over for this year, and then next year probably we should then continue of this Uniago process, which is the initiation role or initiation model for the girls, how they are taught how to treat a man or how to be as a wife. And even from the age of 6 to 12, they've been taught that how to have, for example, even a sexual activity with a man. So the kungvis who are running the Uniago, the ladies who are teaching this initiation, they are establishing also this year. They are establishing an organization, and each and every kungvi who is becoming the member of that organization will definitely have a new role and new contents of the health education, what they are giving there in the initiation, this Uniago. And then next year we should be able to put into practice this new initiation, and I hope that this Uniago and the kungvis will teach then such health education for the girls, which is from the 21st century, as they already have promised in the meetings. And we have 83 of these kungvis who are involved in that process of establishing an organization, and they seem to be very reluctant on what will be going on in the future, and they want to renew the health education, and that I can see that should bring more rights for the girls in the future.
Challenge. What are challenges when you're doing this kind of work, personally?
The challenges are always there, and it's nice to have those challenges. But anyway, it's sometimes very frustrating that, especially when the government of Tanzania and the ministries, when they promise something, so then they realize that okay, there's a new minister coming and there's a new legacy, and then things can change just like in a one night. They can just change. And for example, for the Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa, many Tanzanians, even and me as well, we were waiting a lot from that person when he's done the university and he's a physical education teacher. And we thought that now there's a lot of money coming, a lot of development coming to the education and sports, but unfortunately not much has happened. So how we are going to convince the political leaders how important the health education is and how important the sports is. And on the other hand, for the local fundraising in Tanzania, that is very difficult because unfortunately the Tanzanians don't give much money to the Tanzanian NGOs. It's very difficult to find an Indian person or Arab person or Tanzanian, original Tanzanian person and look for funding. And that is what a big challenge. However, we try to overcome it, establish a sports cafe. We already have a sports shop where we are selling second-hand sports gear and also new sports gear. But the income from that is rather low. Thus, anyway, the challenges are also that the society is changing very, very slowly. And even though something, if for example this Uniago would be denied completely, it would go underground. So because it's also income generating activity for those ladies. So indeed, even though you think that you have made a change, or sports development aid has made a change, so once they see the red lights of the car driving, so things will go back into the normal. To make people understand that how much this would benefit, how much good health would benefit, and how much being active in sports would benefit, even for the old ladies or old fellows. It would be very good to be active in sports. But those habits are very deep into the culture, considering the impact of sport. So that is quite a big challenge also, that how to make a permanent change. And especially the urbanization is very high nowadays in Tanzania. People are moving to cities, and that means that they are also going to work. They're normally in the countryside, they're doing a lot of physical work, but in the cities you have less physical work, so it means that you are sitting in the dala in the morning for 3 hours to go to work, and then you return from the work. You have sat in the office for 7 or 8 hours, you are still sitting in the dala coming back, and then it's dark. So wherever you have time to do the physical activities, hardly ever. So it's dark when you leave for the work, and it's dark when you come back to home. And that could be also very challenging to make people understand that the obesity is one of the main reasons causing different diseases, especially non-communicable diseases like cardiovascular. So that one we are trying to inform the youth that we are dealing with now, that once you are active as a young, so you should be also active when you are older in order to avoid different diseases. But slowly by slowly things are going okay. Finding funding is always difficult, but when you have good ideas, good projects, and you can explain the results and the sustainability well, the money you can always find at least something. But also the Tanzanians should understand that they themselves should also start kind of like developing different kind of programs where they can also do fundraising for themselves instead of waiting that the money is always coming from the north. And that is a bit challenging as well, but time will tell. But I think that development cooperation is not going to be at its end within the next 30 years or 40 years. But let's hope at least that we can make a change for as many people's lives as possible, and they can have an impact on their environment as well.
So when you look at your life, you've been dedicated all your energy on these programs for many years. Yeah. How do you put these in one sentence?
Rewarding, very rewarding. Yeah, wouldn't do anything differently.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.